I'm going to show you a quick demo of the GPT-4 Code Interpreter. I recently tested this out and it just blew my mind. Every single data analyst who's ever done any Python or R work should be looking at this because this will ultimately change how you do your day-to-day work. So one of the questions that we're going to answer today using this Code Interpreter is how has library usage in California gone up or down over the last, let's say, 5 years? So here you can see there are a bunch of Excel files they provide for each year for library usage going all the way back to 2017, 2016. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to download all of these files real quick. And many of these are not super large files, but obviously the same concept can be extended to larger data sets. Now let's see if I have an example of these data sets pulled up. Basically, it's a pretty large Excel file with a bunch of tabs. It has usage data, and then I think it has one final tab that has a lot of the data consolidated in one place, which has library attendance for all of the different libraries that California has. Now, typically, what I would do is I would have to pull up my R notebook and ingest each one of these data sets, then try to figure out the column names, join them, and then try to figure out how to do the plotting for specific libraries or the overall trend. But now let's see what I can do with Code Interpreter here. So here I have this like add a file. I'm going to just go ahead and slowly attach all of the files. This does take a minute because it has to tell me a thing or two about the file it ingested. It tries to understand what's in the file. Great. I'm not sure if I can cancel this, but let me try to cancel it. Just keep adding the files. All right, one more file added. Let's add the third file. You uploaded another file. Yes. Let's add one more. I don't need to see the file yet. And there are two more files I need to upload, so I'll go ahead and do that. Let's stop this part as well. I got one last file. Okay, so it already understood that I'm adding these files and they have different years data, giving me a sense of like the different things included in here in the data set. Let me stop it there and just ask the question I want to ask. Given these data sets, how has the library visits trended over the last few years? All right, so now it's going to do all the work, but while it's doing that, let me see what it tried to do. So it read the file that was downloaded, it parsed some of the header, and it did similar work for some of these other. I wonder if I missed some of this because I didn't let it complete this, but let's see what it does now. All right, here, so it's actually reading each file at a time, and it's smart. Instead of reading the whole file every time, it seems to be reading some parts of it. Interesting. It's renaming some columns. Like these are the things that would take humans a long time to do on the data analysis side, where just cleaning up the data is so painful. It took a long time, and so we actually have to go look at the data. Then you realize that some of the data is not clean. It ran into some error. If variable names were different, so it tries to fix that error. Now it's reading the files. Normally, this type of work would take you hours to do, and the fact that it's just doing it for you is just mind blowing for me. So notice that the names have changed for one of the files. It looks like it's trying to address that for the most recent 2 years, but let's see how it does. Combining all the data sets into one data frame. Okay, so it sees that there's some data type inconsistency, which is another problem we'd have to deal with after we've been doing this ourselves. And let's see what it tries to do in order to fix that. Checking data types for different frames, and you can see that some of them are slightly different. And now it needs to go fix that problem. Let's see what it's doing now. We're converting all the data into the same type, concatenating it again. And there you have it. Hopefully it will do a plot for me. Oh, haven't stopped, so let's have it continue. It already estimates why, guesses why it might be because of COVID-19. Then does a, see what it comes up with. Nice. So it's now showing me how library visits has changed over the years. I'm going to give it a little bit of a harder task. I'm going to ask it how the redound beach public library did compared to the overall trend. Let's see what it does. Now it's like filtering redound beach public library data from the overall data set. Right, so plotted, which you can see is over the overall trend for all California libraries along with the Redondo Beach library. Now, it's not super useful because the Redondo Beach library is just one of the libraries and it's so small that it doesn't quite compare. So I can ask it to replot this. Replot the last plot with and put Redondo Beach public library data on the secondary. Yeah, let's see what it does. I'm not going to see the work this time. I trust that it does the job. While this does pulls the data, it's just so interesting to see the actual trends, which is the library usage went down over the last several years, but in 2020, obviously, it dropped off the cliff. And here now you can see how Redondo Beach Public Library compares to the overall trend, where in the overall trend, there's a little bit of a bump of people coming back to libraries. However, it's not that much, is so far below the pre-pandemic levels. But you can see that Redondo Beach Public Library tends to do better in terms of driving folks back to the library compared to some of the others. Hopefully this was a good demo. I could go much longer, ask it a few more questions, but this video is already going too long. But hopefully this shows the power, mind-blowing power, in my opinion, of how the lives of data analysts is going to change over the next few years as this code interpreter gets more access to not just data sets that you can upload, but data sets that you can connect to, such as snowflakes and other SQL-style databases.